Marty has been wanting to make it for 30 years, and I think, I'm really grateful it took him that long, even though it must have been very painful for him, because it means that I was the person that ultimately got to go on the journey with him. I had heard that he wanted to make the film, turn this book into a film, and I got sent the script, and I was asked if I would audition and meet with him, and I hadn't had an audition for a while, which was really great that he wanted to audition for the role. It was heartening and reassuring because it meant that he was going to do his due diligence and make sure that this was the right fit. I think a bunch of us, or there was a bunch of us that ended up reading for him, and it was in his office in the city, and we read a bunch of scenes, and he was very lighthearted and fun and jovial about it. We were doing these very intense scenes, and a really great actor was reading off camera, Michael Stuhlbarg, who's just this great actor, and it was about 2 or 3 hours. We read a bunch of scenes and talked and with the casting director, and it was really just a wonderful process. And then he asked me if I wanted to do it, and I said, well, I mean, yes. there's no other option. You know, it's a passion project, and it's such a. You don't often get to tell these kinds of stories in cinema. You know, it's hard to get a film made about big themes, about that's so epic and sweeping as this story is, and so intangible in its themes, and so ungraspable. And it's the kind of thing. It's like working with a poem that is constantly unfolding in terms of its meaning, and I relish that opportunity. It is a passion project for Marty, and it did become a passion project for me by proxy. And not only because obviously he is who he is, and he is such a master, and he is such a a gift himself to storytelling, to cinema itself. He is the high priest of cinema, you know. So in that regard, it was very easy for me to devote myself to his vision and to what he has been longing for. And then secondarily, I fell in love with the story. Marty and I would talk extensively. It was mostly about the spiritual themes and about the journey of the character and where he is when, and what gets revealed to him when, and what he's struggling with. And it became very personal. You know, we would share our own stories in how we related. And I think he was looking for that in the actor that eventually played Father Rodrigues. He wanted someone that struggled with these questions. He wanted someone that cared about similar things, where our kind of plasticity matched up, I suppose. This film will surprise people, because even though you can feel it's a Martin Scorsese film, it feels like a new type of Martin Scorsese film. It feels like he's transcended himself, and he's made something that transcends his own name in some way. There's something deeply mysterious about it. Not unlike how I felt watching Kundun. There was something deeply devotional, reverent, and multi-layered about the way he's told this story. I think it'll indirectly, I believe in the responses so far, people are being, coming out of seeing it very shaken, in a really positive way, and are left questioning themselves, questioning their own life, faith in their own life, questioning what is required of them in this life. Deep, big existential questions. Silence is the story of 2 Jesuit priests in the 1600s from Portugal who are on a mission in Japan to find their old mentor and teacher, Father Ferreira, played by Liam Neeson. And it's a double mission. One is to find their mentor, and the other is to keep the flame of Christianity burning and alight in this country that has outlawed Christianity. The locations were epic unto themselves, the nature the characters find themselves in, and then Dante Ferretti, the production designer, built Macau Harbor in the middle of Taiwan. He built Japanese marketplaces of 1600s. You know, the detail and the research that went into all these things is just unbelievable. And then Rodrigo just shot it so beautifully, Rodrigo Prieto. And yeah, physically it was very demanding. First of all, Adam and myself and Liam, we had to lose a lot of weight to be starving priests in an outlawed Christian Japan. So that was a big physical toll. The cast that Marty put together is unbelievable. Starting with Adam and Kieran. You know, Adam is such an instinctive actor and such a unique actor, and playful and in the moment and unpredictable and spontaneous, and I love him, and I think that's very important for that both of us loved each other as much as we possibly could, and you know, kind of brothers in arms. Him having been a Marine, I think there was something very I found fascinating about talking to him about that and about the bond that he had with his fellow soldiers, and you know, in walking into possible, you know, deadly circumstances together, and what that does to the nature of a friendship, a relationship. Issei Ogata, who plays the governor of Chikugo, the Grand Inquisitor. Issei is kind of this unbelievable snake charming presence. He's a magician, kind of alchemist that you can't look away from, but you fear that if you look too long you will turn into stone. He has this magical quality about him, and he's a performance artist and an actor, and but he didn't have any age makeup. He's 20 years younger probably than the character he's playing, but he created creases in his face without the help of makeup, just by holding his face in a different way. I have no idea how he did what he did, but he's a magician, and yeah, so it was a real privilege to be able to just observe and absorb all of these different performers and the different approaches, and it kind of speaks to the multicultural coexistence of that we're talking about in the film, I think. I think it raises the question of how do we live together, and how do we coexist, and how do we live and let live. And it honors the work of missionaries while also questioning the validity of it and questioning the impulse to impose a belief system onto another people. But it also questions the existing belief system being so petrified of anything new. That's the genius of this film, is that everyone's right and everyone's wrong, and there's no way, there's no one answer, there's no one way, and it's again the how do we live together, and how do we fight without killing each other. It's like any relationship, it's like any marriage, it's like any brotherhood or sibling rivalry. It's how do we do this without the destruction of innocent lives, and how do you let me be me and I let you be you. It's a thriller of a film, and it's dealing with themes that are deeply human, and it's unlike anything I think I've ever seen on a cinema screen. I think it's a landmark film for Scorsese, and I think he's transcended himself with this film. And I have never seen a film like this.
way, but I'm lost. Am I just praying to silence?